Hello, hello. Good evening. I hope you are having a good week, a good start to your week wherever you are, whenever you're watching this video. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Dina Martin Chandler. I am an operations coach and I help small businesses, subject matter experts hire their first community manager. And what I want to cover, what really inspired this video this evening, or like I said, whenever you're watching this, was a conversation I had with somebody who is like becoming a good friend. And we spend a lot of time together because our kids basically go to the same school. Both of our kids are homeschooled within the same school. And we had a really good conversation about when to take the leap from your traditional job or the career path that you've been on and been in um, since coming out of college, and when to really take that leap into becoming a business owner. And hopefully, if she sees this, she's okay with me using our conversation as inspiration. But it's something that I've talked about many times before on my platform and in other videos. But I have a different perspective on it now. Now that I have experience going in between the two career paths multiple times, I've transitioned into traditional like corporate roles, traditional jobs, and entrepreneurship multiple times. I've done the shift for a number of reasons. And so because I have that unique perspective, I wanted to make a video about this. If this is something that you have ideas around, like experience around, I would absolutely love to hear you chime in on this as I go through this video. Just post your thoughts in the comments, depending on where you're watching this. Post your thoughts in the group if you're inside of our Facebook group. And yeah, let's dive in. So first of all, I don't believe there's ever a time to really take the leap. That's why I titled this video, Finding the Right Time to Take the Leap is Bull. And here's why. I don't ever think there's really going to be a right time to take the leap. And I say that because taking that leap looks different for everybody. It's never going to be the same set of standards or the same set of rules for each person that does it. I mean, when you're thinking about transitioning out of your traditional job or that security that you have become so accustomed to, whether that's a consistent paycheck, whether that's, having a team to rely on when you're working on projects, whatever it looks like really for you, it's never going to be the same for each individual. So first and foremost, you have to take what I'm going to say and take any other advice that you get around this with a grain of salt, because you ultimately are going to have to make a decision on your own for what this is going to look like for you. A lot of people want to have a certain amount of months saved up, in their savings before they take the leap into becoming a business owner or starting their business, just because the business is going to have something go awry, like something is just not going to pan out the way that you plan. So you have to plan for the unexpected too. So some people take the more like, financial route. I want to make sure I have my finances in order, which everyone um, really should keep that in mind. But some people want to have a cushion saved up. Some people care more about having, all of your organizational ducks, so to speak, in a row. Like you want to make sure everything is registered and you have all of your tax documentation in place and like all of that stuff. And then some people just take the leap, like no planning, nothing in place. You just jump. So I really just want to talk about like a few mindsets. And I did not like plan for this. I did not write down any notes. I'm just kind of going to freestyle this because, like I said, that conversation that we had when we had our kids on a play date over the weekend really inspired me to want to talk about this. And I want to share not just my perspective, but my thought process around this and how I decided to take the leap in hopes that my story and the way that I did it inspires someone else to do the same. The other thing I want to mention around this is that just you don't have to quote unquote take the leap, meaning totally um, separate yourself and leave the traditional way of working, right? Like if you want to try out entrepreneurship or want to try running your own business or partnering with your spouse or somebody that you love to help build a business, and you want to try that for a set amount of time, go for it. It's not like you don't have the freedom to move in between the two. And I think sometimes that is not talked about. That's not really, you don't really hear that conversation a lot. It's always one or the other. Or in my experience, when I've heard other people talk about this, it's always been one or the other. It doesn't have to be and or, it can be, both and, right? As one of my business besties would say, it could be both and. You don't have to necessarily stick with one and never experience the other one and transition in between the two. You're allowed to have both. So if you want to test out entrepreneurship, if you want to test out what it's like to go on your own for a set amount of time and you realize you don't like it, it's not for you, it's not for everybody, and you want to go back to, possibly being an employee, possibly obtaining some type of a job in a different role, you're allowed to switch in between the two. Don't feel like you're locked into one decision just because you make it. But or should I say not but, here's the thing to keep in mind when you're making this transition. First and foremost, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Asking yourself why is very, very, very important, because if you're only making this transition for money, you will not be satisfied with your decision in the long run. Very quickly, your desire to have tubs full of money is going to run dry. Because once you get into it, I'm talking about the person who is actually contemplating jumping into becoming an entrepreneur, right? I have started multiple businesses in my lifetime. I have helped other people start dozens and dozens of businesses in my career thus far. And the desire to just make money runs out and burns out very quickly, because very quickly you realize that this is a long-term game. This is not something you're just going to jump into and then hopefully in 30 days or 60 days or within the first 6 months, it's going to start raining cash. Like, that's not the situation. So if that's your expectation, you might want to check that and put that in place real quick. The thing to remember is, like I said, really ask yourself, why are you doing this? Is it because you want to be challenged, intellectually, in the way that you solve problems, in the way that you plan and self-govern? Because that was the thing for me. Like, I wanted to test out my ability to be in charge of myself. And I know that might sound, not really sure how it might sound. Not sure how that might sound, but that was the truth. When I moved into, and it was a jump, when I jumped into entrepreneurship, I was in my mid-20s and I wanted to test out my ability to govern myself. It was beyond me being tired of answering to someone, because I was tired of answering to someone at that time. But I really wanted to see if I had the skill and the gift to be able to create something, brainstorm something, launch something, and then manage myself to actually bring that thing into the market and bring it into fruition and help other people with it. So it was a challenge for me. And that was one of the main reasons I jumped into entrepreneurship. Of course, I had the dreams of making a certain amount of money and all the other, numerical desires that we write down like in our journals. Of course, I had that. But I wanted to see, for lack of better words, like, I wanted to see what I was made of. So that was the reason I jumped into it. And then the accompanying reason, right, or like a reason next to that reason that was really important for me, is I wanted to create time freedom in my life. And I never saw that before in the work that I was doing, in my traditional jobs. I never really saw time freedom. I didn't know what that meant. And I know so many people talk about, make more money, have more free time, and all of that. Sure, I get it. But on a deeper level than that, it was about, how do I actually create time freedom in my life, in my schedule, in the way that I interact with my family, with my kids. I wanted to take it beyond just saying that I wanted more free time. My thought was, how do I create more free time? Once I have free time, what do I actually do with it? Once I understand what to do with it, how is this something that I could recreate over and over and over again and bake that into the business that I'm building? Like, how do I bake time freedom into what I'm doing? So it's almost like a puzzle. I was trying to solve this puzzle for how I wanted to design the structure and the schedule of my life. And that was my major why. So you have to ask yourself, what's your real why? Why are you trying to make this jump? And why are you trying to make this leap? And then the next part, which is the thing that comes up right after you ask, like, what's that why? Is you go right into the belief, or some people go right into the belief of, okay, why do I deserve this? And I'm speaking on this because I know that a lot of people, this may be you, a lot of moms, a lot of individuals who are in my like who are in my community, who watch my videos, who I talk to, and like I said, this may be you, go through this emotion, and it's something that I consistently had to battle and had to overcome. So the next part, the next thing that came up for me after I asked, like, why do I want this? The next thing that came up for me right after that, it was, okay, why do you deserve it? Like, why do you deserve that? Especially when, like I said, the only thing you've ever really seen before, maybe from your parents or, whoever it was that really introduced you to like work and what the work world was like, and, learning from the adults that were in your life. And then when you got into the work, and when you got into the workforce, and when you got into the field, just what you saw from your colleagues and from your bosses and other things like that, you've never really seen. If you're like me, you never saw the design of what you were trying to create for the lifestyle that you wanted. So you had to basically go about this with trial and error. So after you sit down and you write what that why is, and what that design really looks like for you, what it is you really want, the next piece that comes up is, okay, do I really deserve this? And self-doubt tries to come in and tries to creep in. And sometimes it paralyzes you. It's beyond just coming in. Sometimes it totally paralyzes. And so you're like, oh, wait, okay, maybe this is a little bit too ambitious. Maybe I don't need to be taking this leap right now. I need to wait a few more months. I was trying to go for that big promotion, and I want to hit that. I want to hit that role or that title or that promotion in the company that I've been working for since I came out of college, right? All of that creeps up. All of that comes up, and you start rationalizing why you need to settle for less, and why you need to settle for a work schedule that you're not happy with, that you're committing to every single day. So for me, and what I did at that point was, I had to really daily come up with a way to just overcome all of that mess that I was feeling about being unworthy, about not deserving it, about how it was going to be impossible for me to build it because it was just me starting out. It was a lot of mess, to be very honest with you, and I had to use a variety of tools to overcome it. This is not something that I sat down and journaled out and like it was gone in a couple of days. This is work that, to be honest, I still do today. I still have to go through different rituals that I have for myself, different mindset, practices and beliefs and things that I have to work through to overcome that. Because, like I said, when you're really designing a time schedule, and when you're really designing a lifestyle for yourself that you've never seen before, you have to work through a lot of mental shit that makes you question whether this is going to work or not. And then you definitely start asking yourself, well, why do I even deserve it? So I had to unpack a lot of stuff. And one thing I will say is, if you're planning to make the shift if you're planning to make the jump into entrepreneurship, prepare for that. Prepare for it. Whether that means you're going to join a community that supports, the entrepreneur or the CEO mindset that you're trying to build or come into, whether that means that, you listen to certain podcasts to accomplish that, whether you go to therapy, whatever it is, plan to have time that is dedicated to how you see yourself and your mindset as you're going through this shift. For some people, that's, you might do some spiritual things to do that. Whatever it looks like for you, and wherever you feel led and guided, plan for that. Because I don't want to say you're not going to succeed, but it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to move through this shift if you don't have anything in place to help you move through all of the mental baggage that you have to unpack and you have to let go of when you're going through this transition. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot, really. And you don't want to let it consume your days. So like I said, some kind of support system, having some kind of community around you, having some type of practice, some type of like ritual, some type of mindset work that you do. Just plan for that, because you will be dealing with a lot of, am I worthy? Can I do this? Am I sure about this? There's uncertainty. This may be unstable. There's a lot of that. And you want to have a consistent way to deal with it so it doesn't paralyze you and stop you from moving forward with what you are trying to accomplish. So that's really the second thing. Some type of support system is what I'm trying to say. So that's the second thing about that shift. And like I said, I really want to hear like your thoughts and your ideas on this. I'm not even going to give a third thing that I think would help you move through this transition. I would really like to just hear what's something that's that's been helpful for you. So if you have like made that jump from working a 9 to 5 and jumping into entrepreneurship, or you've made that transition, what is a resource? What is a tip? What is something you've done to prepare that has really helped you like make that transition, and that you're willing to share for others who are going to see this live stream or see this video and who are trying to make that shift for themselves. I hope that me just sharing a little bit about what's helped me and what encouraged me to make that shift has been helpful for you. So let me know, and let me know below. And lastly, if you want to connect with me, we can continue this conversation further. I invite you, and I would love to kind of talk this out with you, talk out how you are preparing to make that shift, whether you're preparing to make that shift and make sure that you have a few key people hired on your team to manage your audience growth, to manage your community that you may be planning to launch. I will be more than happy to have that conversation with you and continue the conversation offline. So go to my website, CinaMartinChandler.com, if you want to connect with me and book a time there, and we can talk about this further. Other than that, I hope this was beneficial to you in some way. Enjoy the rest of your night or your evening, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye.